Welcome to Tech Simplified, and my name is Sly Gittens. I have the one and only Stephanie. I can't wait to share her story. As the U.S. and global Microsoft Alliance leader, Stephanie unites PwC's industry-leading sales team with Microsoft innovative technology to help deliver transformational change for our clients. She, the dedicated team of PwC professionals committed to collaborating with clients to drive their cloud, data, and digital journeys. Stephanie has proven track record of leading many successful organizations with sustained outcomes grounded in industry knowledge. As Microsoft manufacturing and industrial products lead at PwC, she addressed clients' most complex technology and business challenges, managing and delivering engagement across a broad spectrum of Fortune 100 companies. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Stephanie, can you please share a little bit more to my audience about who you are, kind of what you like to do outside of work too? Because I gave them the LinkedIn messaging. Can you give them a look into who you are as a whole and how did you get to where you are today? Because I find most people look at, man, she accomplished a lot. Well, how did you do it? Right. This is the behind the scenes. Thank you for joining. I'm so honored to have you on today's podcast.
Thanks so much for the time. Great to meet all of your listeners. Stephanie Mosticchio. I am a born and raised East Coast, New Jersey girl. Moved down to Colorado about 4 years ago. I have been in tech for 20 years at this point. Outside of work, I love to drive fast cars. I'm on my way to do some ice racing in Finland in about 2 weeks. And when I'm not doing that, I like to fly planes also. Type 1 fun, a lot of great activities for when I do at a time. So I'll back up a little bit. When I was in school, I was working for a company called Belcor, which was acquired by ICIC and renamed Telcordia. I spent 10 years there. My early career was doing desk side support for the exec one day said to me, "How do I get you to work for me?" I said, "I have no idea how to code." He said to me, "We will teach you how to code." That became my foray into the tech side. I used to take apart and hook back together the family computer. And that's how I knew I wanted to be in tech. I think it was one of those things I was good at without having to try. I laughed the other day. I remember when I was a kid, I said I wanted to be a dermatologist. And then when I got older, I said I wanted to be a lawyer. Here I am all these years later. I probably would have been a good lawyer. I put a lot of that to good use. And so worked in T-Mobile for a little while as a sales engineer there, and then went over to Nokia about a year before Nokia got acquired by Microsoft. I had the ability to watch how Microsoft truly transformed customers using technology. It was the part of the Microsoft business that got me really excited. I ended up working in their consulting business. I ran their New York business and the manufacturing business before I left. It was fun because I had the opportunity to watch our customers transform. And that is the part that is exciting to me. I never strayed far from Microsoft. I'm still tightly aligned to them. So I never feel like I left, and that's neat. But I do know how they work. And so that helps me in the role that I am today, really connect some dots and be able to do what I love doing, which is transforming customers using technology.
First of all, that's amazing. I think I built my first computer at 7, 8.
Right.
No, my parents couldn't even afford a computer. I remember someone threw out a computer and I took it, put it together, and I started using it. Then I
Yep.
realized one of the neighbors, they needed a computer. So I sold them my computer so I could buy a better computer. And my mom came home and was like, yeah, it's a packet sniffer. And I had to see everything. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna need to do something about this. I spent entirely too much time doing it. I didn't realize you could get paid doing technology. I just
Right.
knew this is something I did. I was gonna be an English major and be an English teacher, right? And then when I got into school, they made me do Milton. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. When my mom got sick, I'm like, yeah, I might need to do something different. So I took a business class and fast forward, I ended up taking an IT class, getting like a 98 or 100 on the test. The teacher's like, did you cheat? I'm like, no, I've been doing this since I was like 16,
Yeah.
15. Why are we doing this in college? Didn't everyone pass this? No one
Yeah.
else did. Fast forward, I'm here now. I had a gift to gab. Their parents told me I should be a lawyer because I talk so much. So then I ended up switching marketing with IT. And that's what I do now, teach people tech. And that's awesome. Anyone out there listening, if you're new in your career, find that thing that you're gravitated towards. I have friends who pulled apart the computer, but they only wanted to focus on the processing power. My buddy became an electrical engineer. And me and him were technical with two different areas, right? Then I had one of the ladies on my team could sell anything. She would sell me anything. And right now she leads sales, right? It makes sense what she was doing. She tied in tech. So if you're hearing this, find what you like, find some passion. And I also heard you found someone who believed in you, right? So who can invest in you. Sponsorship and mentorship is also needed on the journey. Let's switch gears a little bit. What trends in cloud and data technologies are you most excited about?
Woo, everybody's talking about AI these days. And I think the biggest question that we have is what parts of AI do we use and how do we get value from AI? So I think that's one of the biggest ones that we have today. I'll touch a little bit on kind of what we do here is we train our folks and incentivize them to make AI intrinsic in the way they work today. With our customers, we look at, are they building the right technology foundation of data, compute, and power to build AI capabilities? Are they thinking about how can you reimagine your strategy in the future of work? What are the different ways that you can use AI from an advantage perspective? What functions will transform? What are those innate efficiencies that can be harvested? And then the most important thing is establishing a responsible AI program. The thing that we've seen across the board is if you don't give it to your folks, they're going to use it anyway. So if you give it to them, then you can do that in a responsible and a secure way. If not, you risk your company data being put out on the web somewhere or being used across the board.
Correct. A lot of companies say, yeah, we're not going to deal with it and
Yep.
realize that employees are using it in
Yep.
some form or fashion, right? Whether it's ChatGPT or another large model, you don't want your data in that, right? So if you can control that, and it means that it's important, so, right? I think AI brings up data and privacy concerns. A lot of people look at AI and like, that's great. They don't think about who has access to what, right? How do you deal with data going out? Like, what are some tools you got to put around that? So let's talk about what we came here to talk about. Can you discuss the importance of women in tech initiatives and how your role at PwC continues to support this cause? Because that's something that is pretty near and dear to me. Because I started this in the beginning because I had my daughter, want to do something different. This was a way for me to give back on a larger scale. I already had a platform and I knew how to share other people's voices, all of my board of directors, the ladies in my life, to make sure I do it the right way and not make it about me. So, what are
Yeah.
you doing at your scale with your impact? Because PwC is global. So, the amount of impact you can do is like spending more than I can in my roles. What are you doing?
So let me back up a little bit. And I think this is what's important. You know, you touched on it a little bit before. When I look at my career, I did have a bunch of folks who supported me, allies, right? Whether they be women or men that helped bring me to where I am today. And I think that that's super important. Since coming here, I have been involved in the program. I run our cloud organization here as well. I have a team of folks who focus on it more daily. In general, I think it's important for us to remember that tech hasn't always been as female focused as we would want it to be. I remember working at Telcordia and being the only female in the labs, running around, pulling out drives. It's gotten a lot better over the years, but I also think that there is this intimidation too, right? There's a lot of men in this field. And I think us continuing to first of all, me to bring my story on how I got to where I am today and to say, hey, I am just as nervous as other people are. I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else. And I think everybody in my role thinks that I have it figured out. The best part of me that I can bring to people is I am just as nervous as everybody else is. If I'm going to do a big presentation or get in front of a bunch of people, have those same insecurities that everybody else does. The joke I make all the time is that I literally feel like I'm going to pee my pants some days. I think people don't believe that I'm like that because I come across as I got this. So I think that there's this certain level of relatability that I want to bring and I want people to understand. I also think that everybody thinks everybody's their crap together. I think everybody at the leadership level is totally together. That's so not the case. Every CEO and CIO and CTO that I work with have their own insecurities and worry about certain things. For women, when I do a lot of talks, I think we want to bring those learnings, but explaining too that I'm just a human being just like everybody else, and I have insecurities just like everybody else. That is I think one of the most important things. And or remind folks that while bringing others around us up, we also want to make sure we have space, right? So when I do calls, I want to make sure at the end I'll make space. Let's go around the room, talk to somebody who's a little bit quieter. I want to give you a voice, right? And it's not just what programs do we have, but what do we do every day that enables women that maybe would be a little less open about what their opinion is to give them that space to talk.
I have fear, but I just don't let it immobilize me. It's true to the fear. And I think one thing that you also said I thought was really good is day to day, how do you encourage them? Do they see you in the role? They see that you are vulnerable, right? Like the book I love to read is called Dare to Lead by Brene Brown.
Right.
And it's about showing your armor, right? We all have it. Right?
Yep.
People like, oh, Sly, you run this and you work at Microsoft. How do you do it? Yeah, still stuff I'm figuring out, right? Just to get to where I want to be is still things when I'm going to speak. I had to do a panel session at the University of Buffalo, my alma mater. And I was
Yeah.
nervous going up there, right? Because even though I'm seasoned, I know what I'm talking about, still you get nervous, but I know the main goal for me was to remind myself how I was when I was in that chair and also realize that this ain't the same time. So what I need to teach them is different than what they need to know now. But to be honest, tell them like, guys, you're 22. Just have fun, take some risks, and the stuff that you are really excited about now or great about now. To be honest, 10 years from now, you might not remember. And life continues, right? So I'm trying to teach them that. So
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you on that. So I see you're doing a constant juggle, right? How do you balance strategic vision with day-to-day operational management in your role? And then, Caesar, how do you balance personal life with being an executive? Because that is my biggest question. Because I'm like, where do I find the time? I just got my third child. I got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2 month. And I'm trying to start. I'm doing this. I'm getting work. Imagine it now if I ran actual whole organization where I got managers who report to me. How do I manage that at home? Like, so I know that was a lot to unpack. How do you
Gotcha.
handle day to day operationally, and then also how do you handle that with your personal life as well?
Yeah. So from a day-to-day perspective, I think from a strategy perspective, and going back to the Brene Brown thing, when I was at Microsoft, we went through Brene Brown training. And frankly, I've learned a lot on how to handle work and how to lead better through programs like that. From a strategy perspective, what I find is that at the start of the fiscal year, and I've learned this a lot through different companies, right? Laying out their strategic vision and being very clear, clear is kind, something we've always spoken about. Like laying out that strategic vision and sticking to that for the entirety of that fiscal year or that time period is super important because then everyone is, from an operational efficiency perspective, I want everyone running towards the same goal, but in their own lane instead of everyone running towards the same thing at once. And everyone knows what they need to do and they just do their part. As a machine, operationally, it runs and it works super efficient. My favorite thing is to get a team running in an extremely efficient way so that there's time left over for maybe what I would call the fun stuff, right? Or for the innovation piece as we start to decide, hey, what are we going to do different for the next year? I joke around, I have a parking lot. I read all these things in the parking lot. Another really great book, Who Moved My Cheese? I read that years ago. Maybe it was at T-Mobile, 20 something years ago when we read that. And that book isn't so important to everyday work today, still all these years later. That's very true, right? Because things are constantly changing. If you'd have asked me this 8 months ago, I probably would have had a different answer. The big trend now is AI. How are we using that? What is everybody else doing that allows us to do that? We will constantly pivot, but try to keep that layer of operations and the strategy somewhat the same. That way, everyone is working toward the same goal. I will tell you work-life balance. My answer to that is in the first year of a job, it's very hard because you are rebuilding your machine, right? The teams that work for you starting to get to know you, right? I took on the global role. So I leave tomorrow night to get on an international flight and I travel for maybe about the next 6 weeks or so internationally. I bounce back through here a few times, but it's hard. The one thing that I do try to do in the middle of my international travel, I will ice race in Lapland and Finland. So I do try to take the time that I can have. I really try to put aside time to say, hey, I'm going to focus and take a little bit of time out. Because if you don't take that time out, you just start to burn. Burnout is really a very important thing. Do I get to go out and race cars every once in a while? Yes. Do I make sure I have the time to spend with my family and the people around me? 100%. The good thing is I have a great group of folks around me. My cheerleaders, all my friends that have been friends with me over the years. I still have girls that I went to high school with that we're super close with each other and we're each other's cheerleaders. And they understand. They understand that I'm getting on a plane and I'm going to be super busy for a certain amount of time. Those things I think are really important as well to make sure that you have the right support around you. And then I do things like I take care of myself. I get a massage when I need it. And so all those things I try to keep important. I think that helps to keep the balance as well.
And I think what you said is, first of all, amazing. And I'm still stuck on you doing like high speed racing. How do you even know to do that? I gotta go look this up on
Right.
YouTube afterwards. I'm like, figure what this is. So that's
Yeah.
amazing by itself. Second, I think one thing that you said that I really want people to listen to, who is your board of directors? Who are those friends who's gonna be there who understand you're crazy?
Yep.
Because sometimes like my parents, my family, like Sly, you always working, you need to slow down. I'm like, I gotta get this stuff done. And then when I'm done, I might be taking on a vacation or I'm going to visit my family in Brooklyn. But when I'm back home, I'm gonna make sure to get all my stuff done because certain things you just have to get done. Your friends understand that, right? They make
Yep.
sure they know the time. And long as they got stuff going on, it's sometimes hard when they're going through something and they can't understand it. And that's the challenging time. But what I heard you say is, I know each other from high school. That this is just we'll check on make sure you're okay. So I think what you did is you created a nice supporting cast to help you get through that. And I
Yep.
could tell as a manager, you're right in the beginning, right? It got to be crazy because you don't even know who on the team yet, who wanted the role, what they need to get done. So that's got to be challenging. Right? So one thing I want to talk about because I could talk to you all day, I could tell this already. It's just easy. Um, you talked about when we prepped this, PwC is doing a global AI tour. I really want to know what's the significance of that. What are you and the team trying to achieve with that?
So Microsoft is doing their AI tour. We're actually doing our final big sponsorship in London, which is next week. And so what Microsoft has done is use this as an opportunity to take their technology and the ways in which customers are using their technology and AI and bringing that out to the market. So what's interesting is it's one thing for us to get up there and talk about the tech and how you can use tech, right? Is it great to use Copilot in Teams? 100%. I use Copilot. We use it all the time when we do calls. Do I use Copilot inside an Outlook? Yes. Am I constantly using it to make sure that grammatically correct? I am the world's renowned fastest typer. I have a Copilot that can help me do that. But what this does is actually bring it to life, right? And so how are customers using it? And the recent one in New York City, it was how are financial services customers using AI? How are they using the different pieces of the Microsoft stack to embrace it in their companies and then improve what they're doing and find operational efficiencies that way, et cetera. So we are big supporter of that. We're an absolutely massive user of Microsoft products, obviously, and definitely their largest co-pilot and how we found operational efficiencies and how we've operationalized using AI inside of our org is extremely important as well. So we've been super supportive. We're interested to see what's going to happen next year, right? What's AI? What will be the next version of AI tour? I think Microsoft will have Ignite, and I think you'll still see a heavy emphasis on AI there. We're bringing our customer stories. Here's how we're using it. Here's how our customers are using it as well. And I think it's a great place for folks to get together and talk together. It's just a great connection point.
That sounds great. So you got customer zero first, right?
Yep.
Now you're sharing what you learned from there. This has been a great conversation. I learned a lot about who you are from what you do professionally, a little bit more about you personally. But what I always like to do when it's coming to the end, I'm sad it's coming to the end because I could talk to you for another 20 minutes, is how can the audience get in contact with you?
Yeah, I am on LinkedIn. Look me up, Stephanie Mosticchio, and just I would say definitely take a follow as well. Pretty active posting on LinkedIn, so you get to see snippets of where I go, all the different countries I go to, some of the things that we're working on, customers. You'll see some sponsorships we're doing over the next few months as well. So feel free to follow and contact me on there.
Sweet. I'll make sure to have her LinkedIn information in the show notes. If you listen to this, in the podcast description. If you're on YouTube, it'll be inside the description section there as well. Till next time, Sly Gittins and Stephanie are out. Peace.
Take care.